that Pope is Ebola Tinubu. And that is why someone who was I think it was a special advisor to a Bori or something, or maybe commissioner. Then he became a senator. Then he became a governor. This is a guy who has been with them, like I said, excuse me, he's been with them since 1998 or 1999. He said the PDP that he sees right now is not competitive enough. And guess what? The person responsible for, or the person that is partly, because they are all responsible for it, okay. The person that is partly, that is involved in the demise of people destroying people, PDP, with a wiki. So, Obi Akpo, Adolf Hitler, and that is with a wiki. The man that is now working for Tinubu in APC and ensuring that there will be nothing called reconciliation. There will be nothing, you know. Like I said, they are all involved, including Atifku. Baba, no regrets. That is always like running and contesting until probably he passes. I bet they will still print his poster when he's dead. Vote for Alhaji Atifku Abubakar. He died 15 years ago, but his ambition is not dead. Vote for President Atiku Abubakar, 2045. They are all responsible, but this guy is bailing on the same platform that has given him almost everything that he is. Somebody said he should probably do a makeover. You know, call your dentist and do a makeover from that money you stole. At least the bling should show. People of Delta should see what and where their money goes, right? But when you look at him and say, where is the money? That's the question. Ask the majority of the, where's the money? Right? He has more. Okay, so talking about Obi Akpo Hitler, with a wiki, these guys, the political coffee soda. And this is nothing. He was attending somebody's 70th birthday in Port Harcourt today. And with a wiki. That's the life. When you look at them, if you go to any of their houses, you will think you are visiting a luxury car mart. There is no car. There is no latest car that's kind of like get produced in any part of the world today. In another 2-3 months, these rogues will pay for it and ship it down to Nigeria as part of their collection, car collection. It's the show of opulence. They have all these mansions they build. When you get inside, you see them like they are selling cars. They are not selling cars, though. There was a time I was invited to join the PDP youth movement in Odogbolu. And our job was to help galvanize and mobilize young people for Babangida in 2003. I was so young then, right? but I missed out. I don't know what happened. They dropped me. But for those who kind of joined and they took them to Minna in Niger States, where those ones who were from Odogbolu, they gave them a bus all the way from Minna. They said they were just telling every group, like they had more than 10,000 or so people who came from all over Nigeria for Babangida for president. And then they said, and Babangida said, this is mansion or manor, and what have you, like, you would think, I mean, they had like thousands, not hundreds, thousands of buses. You know, those IAS buses, so not later, you know, later when I get, what do they call, what's that other bus called? Oma buses, all those fancy ones. No, I'm talking about IAS 10 back. 2003. I've been at 2003, 2002. So people went and they gave every group from every ward in Nigeria, they gave them a bus. So be driving them all over the country, showing Babangida for president, Babangida for president. I don't know if some of you will remember. Now, I'm telling you how some of those buses found their way there, because like you would think these guys are selling cars, they're selling, you know, vehicles. Anyway, going forward, right? One of the things that people said about Okowa was that he was the shittiest, sort of like a running mate to somebody. I mean, Peter Obi beat them blue-black. Obi scored about 75 or 76% of the recorded allocated votes, okay? And Atiku, Okowa, and Tinubu shared the rest. But Okowa said he will find out whether he can get electoral value or not. Because that's why he promised them that now that they have joined Tinubu, this is the biggest, the most, biggest political strategy ever by Tinubu. Because Okowa said, Baba,
with each other. But otherwise, before yesterday, I had not spoken to Senator Adams Oshomale.
Okay, well, because the front pages today do say that organizations such as EFCC are being weaponized to do coerced defection. But in another breath, Malam El-Rufai has spoken, and he said he feels some of these defections are highly exaggerated and they offer no electoral value. In the same breath, some PDP chieftains have also come out to say, well, Senator Okowa was unable to deliver Delta State in the presidential election, so which people is he really moving with? What do you say to this? Because you've been talking about your people and, you know, so much you did for your people and how much they love you, but when it came to the presidential election, those people didn't choose you. What are your views on these?
Okay, in the first instance, for those who doubt my political reach, they should wait until the next elections. And for those who did doubt my political reach, by the time we went into the governorship elections, it was obvious who were those that were masters of politics on the field. But beyond that, the issue about the presidential election was such that as of 2023, it was a question of North-South politics. You are very much aware of it, that it was a question of North-South politics. The people of the South were likely interested in a Southerner coming in as president after Buhari's tenure. Yes, I ran under my party as vice presidential candidate because I belonged to that political family, and at that time, it was the best choice. But I did realize, even when we were campaigning, that people were not interested in having another Northerner coming into power at that 2023. And that became a major factor for me. But a decision had been taken at the federal level, at a party level, and I had already been nominated vice presidential candidate. So what did happen was a question of, oh, I did not seem to follow the path and the thoughts of the people, and I have advised myself. that it's important that I need to go with the people. Not because I want to believe in a north-south politics, but generally, when you're a politician, you're playing politics, the views of your people matter. And from the views...
Sorry, that was 2007 when Babangida wanted to succeed Tinubu. But that was your own generation, okay? When they were doing 1 million man march. Was it 1 million or 5 million? 1 million man march for Abacha in 1995. That was way back. This was 2007 when Babangida said he wanted to succeed Obasanjo as a kingmaker. And we all know how that ended though, right? Anyway, somebody who just resigned from Tinubu's government has come out to tell us that, listen, guys, there's always more talk than the real actions. There are most of all those talk you see in the media about Tinubu is doing this, Tinubu is doing that. They are just formalities, oh, right? That he, being inside, if he wanted to just continue to get paid and do nothing, he will still be with them. He was appointed. I'm talking about Hakim BabaHamed. That's BabaHamed's brother. The reason why I decided to bring this back to you all is that now you can't say he's a scorned man. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's because they didn't give him appointment. Oh, it's because they, you know what I mean? Like, he was appointed. He was given paychecks by Tinubu for nearly a year, and they have just to sit there and sit duck. He has also somehow helped to shine light on the rumored sidelining of, or the rumored marginalization of a shitty man. Remember, it was said that at a point, there are certain places that a shitty man is not really allowed to move into. BabaHamed says nothing close to that. To him, you can easily tell us whether he's also being very cautious. You know, like he's seen as somebody who was inside and must have eavesdropped or heard some certain things, personal secrets. So he had to be very careful what he says out there. I could feel that fear in his voice, right? So no matter what anybody comes out to tell you about Tinubu and his gang, there were those who were inside once. And you can't blame them of being scorned like the hell fire. No matter how much he tries to try not to like spill the things, right? The smart ones can read through this. Now, here is what BabaHamed had to say about his time with Kolu and those of you his governor.
Outside. And of course, I mean, there's a lot of politics that floats around, I mean, these things, isn't there? I mean, is it true that you were appointed to give the Tinubu administration northern credibility, especially after a contentious election?
If there was, I wasn't aware of it. I like to believe that on my own merit, I deserve to be appointed advisor on political matters. I didn't need an
I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Yeah, well, I didn't need an additional regional stamp to become an advisor. And I didn't see any sinister motive. People say, oh, they wanted to keep you quiet, oh, they wanted to buy your voices and everything. I mean, I started that job, I think, when I was close to 69. I'm 70 now, so I know a little bit about...
Well, you look like a young man to me.
Oh, thank you. I knew what I was doing, and I can tell you that I didn't see any sinister motive or a trick involved in appointing me.
But you must have been quite disheartened, I mean, when you came out, having spent a considerable amount of your valuable time, you know, in such a place, and much use wasn't being made of you. Because, I mean, I say this because you then came out and you've just subsequently written an open letter to the president. You suggested that the president has a closed-door style of leadership, is indifferent to complaints about ethnic bias in appointments, and frequently runs the country from abroad whilst attending to personal matters. And you say that he's become something of an isolated leader heading an insular administration. I mean, that sounds pretty strong.
Well, it would have been easier if it was just about me. Am I busy? Am I lazy? Am I just going there to the villa to feel good? I have a nice title. I'm an advisor to the president. If it was all about me, quite possibly I would have stayed longer. But I felt I could have been a lot more useful to the country and to the administration. I believed also, I don't like for this thing to sound boastful, I believe I had something to offer.
Indeed.
Which was the reason why they asked me to go there. Not to sit idle and to watch a lot of things going wrong. You don't have an opportunity to fix them. You don't have an opportunity to engage the president, who has all the powers to be engaged. You don't have any channel. I saw the vice president virtually every working day. We talked, we discussed the country. But Nigeria requires a lot more than talking with the vice president.
But did you have an opportunity to meet the president?
No, I didn't.
For your entire time there?
No, I think I met him, I saw him 3 times in the mosque in the villa. And
From a
we
distance.
sort of shook hands.
Right.
Shake. There's a mosque in the villa, so
Right.
you would see. But I never had a chance to sit down with President Tinubu.
And why do
say
you
to
think
him,
that was the case?
I honestly don't know. I think I think part of the problem is that he never really had time for people like us.
People
I
like
said,
you? I mean, you were a
well,
special advisor.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had time for a lot of the people working for him. You quoted a part of the letter that I wrote to him. I used the language very carefully. Said it was insular, isolated. That's not the words you use casually. The president really is genuinely isolated. Whether it's by choice or by circumstances we don't understand, the bottom line is he ought to be available to a lot more of the people that he has trusted, either to run ministries or departments or to advise him. And he isn't. And that's a problem for the country, not so much for him. But it's a lot, because the president of Nigeria is a hugely powerful person, and he has massive responsibility on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
So if he's not going to look for solutions to problems from people that he had appointed, there are only 2 options that are left. Is he getting advice from the wrong people, or is he getting no advice at all? And there are other issues that I raised in my letter. I said somehow I just think, when I use the word insular, it really was about, when you hear people close to him speak about Nigeria, it's as if we live in 2 different worlds. And that is the most frustrating thing for me. We would leave the villa, we would go home, we would watch real people, and sometimes we would drive around, we go home, we mix with poor people. We knew how desperate the country is, how desperately life is. Difficult life is, the insecurity level, how high it is. People are losing hope, asking what is the value of this democracy. And sometimes they say, what are you doing there? We thought with people like you, we wouldn't be seeing some of these things. At least, are you guys really advising the president about some of these things? And it all amounts to this idea that the president is either not interested in getting advice, or is getting advice from the people that he hasn't appointed officially to give him advice. Either way, when I use those words, insular and isolated, very carefully, because that's exactly how I read it. I believe if President Tinubu was more open to suggestions and advice, and if he has higher quality of people handling sensitive positions for him, and he makes himself available to them, and they talk to him, and he tells them, they tell him what they think, I think the country will be better.
So are you going to...
This is not the Ahmed Bola Tinubu I know. Since 1992, when I encountered you, I don't think this is the Ahmed Bola Tinubu I know. that calls me his friend and I call him my friend, and calls me my son and I call him my father. This is not Ahmed Bola Tinubu. This is
AC Cooper. Mr. Akim BabaHamed was invited